Every day, across Britain, dozens of raids take place in secret.
Police! Stay where you are! Get up!
Filmed over 2 years, this series has gained exclusive access to some of the best raids teams in the UK. Catching crooks red-handed. Seizing illegal contraband.
Large quantity of cash.
It's about strategy, surprise, getting results,
Police will find them and they will bring them to justice.
Police!
and putting the criminals behind bars.
Straight.
Southall, West London. Intelligence suggests that a large number of shipping containers tucked away on an industrial estate are packed with counterfeit goods. If the tip-off is true, they could be worth millions of pounds.
Counterfeiting is not a victimless crime. Got other things connected to it like modern-day slavery, child labour, human trafficking. When you buy counterfeit goods, it goes into the pockets of organised crime groups.
At Ealing Council headquarters, specialist raids teams from Trading Standards are in the final stages of planning a major operation to bust open the containers and track down those responsible for what's inside.
Operation Rowan relates to various containers that are situated in the Southall area.
If all goes to plan, they could uncover one of the largest stashes of fake goods they've ever seized.
The intelligence seems credible, so we got Sergeant Rooney, who will be leading it from the police side of it.
So we got the warrant on the 7th of April from Croydon Magistrates. My method of entry team will force entry to every single one. I think it's likely somebody will appear.
Yeah.
When we're there. They're not going to be there now.
Yeah.
The estate is asleep.
Hopefully it should be a good day, fingers crossed.
Happy?
Okay.
Cool.
you.
Right.
The container's location has made planning today's operation a challenge. And they can't guarantee that there will be fake goods inside.
Where the containers are situated, it makes it difficult for us to carry out any surveillance because they're well hidden in the back of a unit and we'll get spotted straight away. So if people see us sitting out with cameras, carrying out surveillance, the job's blown. Very nervous at the moment because we've got 22 containers to execute the warrant on and we just don't know what we're going to find. We might end up finding a packet of biscuit in each container. We just don't know.
Today's operation is part of an ongoing battle to dismantle the illegal trade in counterfeit goods. It's thought to cost the UK economy around £13 billion a year. For it to succeed, they have to strike without warning.
The operation itself has been kept very secret. It's not about not trusting anyone, it's about preserving the information, the intelligence, so that when we go out there, we get the result that we want.
Months of preparation and planning come down to this moment.
Shall we just have a quick look first, what we got? Yeah. Yeah, they are. So these are the whole units that we're going to be going into. 21 containers.
Specialist method of entry teams are brought in to help them break open the containers.
We'll start here, and then we'll just work our way down.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'll be completely guided by you. Your job is to get me in.
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
No worries.
Right, so this one's actually unlocked.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
No lock on it.
My heart's just sunk. The first container's empty. What does that mean? Does that mean that the job's been compromised? Has it been leaked out that we're coming? I just don't know what to expect. So I'm just very nervous at the moment.
All hopes now rest on the next container. Coming up, the prolific criminals put under police surveillance after a string of terrifying robberies across Liverpool.
They enter the store, go straight towards the staff, force them to open the safe through threat of violence. It must be an absolutely horrific and traumatic incident for them.
And will the months of planning pay off for Tarek and the raids teams in West London?
What you got? Louis Vuitton.
It's around 6:30 in the morning. A coffee shop in Liverpool has just opened for the day. Two men go in, but they're not customers.
They approach the staff immediately, making threats of violence. They take them into the back of the store to open the safe.
The robbers fill a bag with cash and escape, leaving staff traumatised.
I can imagine they're really terrified. They've got two individuals that they don't know. They don't know if they're carrying any weapons, and these individuals are shouting and swearing at them.
It's not the first robbery this pair have committed, and it won't be the last. They soon hit their next target, another coffee shop on a busy high street.
We've got offences that clearly have a similar MO in that there are two males involved wearing surgical face masks. And the descriptions given by the witnesses are all very similar, so it's difficult to do anything but link them.
Detectives could now be facing a city-wide crime spree and have to act fast.
At this point, we're pulling together an investigation team because we believe that there are going to be further offences within the series.
And they don't have long to wait before the robbers strike again.
We start to get 2-3 offences per week, which becomes really challenging for the investigation team.
Although the targets are new each time, the men's MO is the same. They arrive early in the morning, wait for the shops to open, and when the coast is clear, they go in. The offences quickly pile up, with detectives linking the pair to 6 different incidents across the city. Now, police face mounting pressure to identify them and track them down. But the robbers have been careful and aren't leaving many clues behind.
They're wearing dark clothing, jackets which clearly cover the majority of their faces, and they're wearing face coverings. Forensic evidence is really challenging. Because they were wearing gloves, they aren't leaving any DNA behind.
And there's soon another robbery that follows the same pattern. Two men are seen on camera, walking back and forth in front of a bakery before it opens. They burst in wearing masks and demand the staff open the safe. Then, they empty all the cash into a bag and flee. But this time, there's one crucial difference. Detectives are able to track the offenders after they leave the crime scene and link them to a distinctive car.
CCTV captures a vehicle that we believe to be a silver Ford Mondeo. It's got a defective headlight, which makes it a lot easier to identify on CCTV, because when it's dark, you can clearly see that, that it's one and the same vehicle. It's a breakthrough for us because it really allows us to focus now on this vehicle and people that have access to it. But at the same time, because we've now got that lead, it's really important that we don't allow that vehicle and its users to go on to commit any further offences.
Detectives soon discover that the car is connected to a man by the name of Paul Boardman.
Paul Boardman is somebody that was known to us, has previous convictions, and somebody through our intelligence we connected fairly early on as being a potential suspect for these offences.
But police don't have enough evidence to make an arrest, and they still need to identify his accomplice. They decide to put Boardman under covert surveillance.
We embarked upon a proactive investigation targeting Paul Boardman and the silver Ford Mondeo.
They need to catch the robbers in the act.
We have to secure some real golden nuggets of evidence. So we have to time it perfectly, almost to the point where they cross the threshold of going to commit the offence. There's a large number of officers involved, having to make really difficult and challenging decisions, having to decide when that tipping point is and when to send those uniformed officers in to go and arrest those individuals.
Right, so, shall we just have a quick look first, what we got? Yeah.
In Southall, trading standards officers are leading a major operation to try and uncover millions of pounds worth of counterfeit goods. Intelligence led them to these shipping containers, tucked away on an industrial estate.
Very nervous at the moment because we've got 22 containers to execute the warrant on, and we just don't know what we're going to find. We might end up finding a packet of biscuit in each container. We just don't know.
Right, so this one's actually unlocked.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
But despite months of preparation and planning, the first container they opened was empty.
So it's not a good start. So.
My heart's just sunk. Does that mean that the job's been compromised? Has it been leaked out that we're coming? I just don't know what to expect. So I'm just very nervous at the moment.
It's an anxious wait for Tarek as the method of entry team work their way through the next lock.
We can't get into these containers alone because these counterfeiters secure these units with heavy-duty locks. So we've got the assistance from the Metropolitan Police method of entry team who got angle grinders, hoolie bars. They're going to smash their way in, and we're not going to leave until we've got into those containers.
This time,
Boxes of mobile phone accessories. Graham around.
while police start breaking into another container, specialists are brought in to examine the products and establish if they're fake.
So what's happening now? The experts are going through the stuff from the brands, so they're just having a look and just identifying what they've got.
Meanwhile, Tarek gets to work on the others.
We've got some Samsung chargers. We see thousands of these. They are counterfeit, these ones. So we're getting bits and bobs. What you got? Louis Vuitton.
Right, we've got to the container that we wanted. Bingo, fantastic, what a result. That's what we came for.
Christian Louboutin.
Chanel, but they're horrendous, aren't they?
Yeah.
But in addition, we're starting to get other counterfeit goods and unsafe goods seized as well, so absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's quite full, this one.
I didn't expect this amount of stuff. We've just got like hundreds and thousands of pounds worth of counterfeit goods.
Divide everybody up into 2 teams.
Yeah.
Everybody on those teams works on one container.
Yeah.
Empties it out, deals with it.
Then moves on to the
And then
next
moves
one.
on to the next
Brilliant.
one. All right.
Brilliant.
Dealing with the sheer volume of fake goods here brings its own challenges.
The amount of counterfeit goods that we've just discovered now is just unbelievable. We have a 40-foot lorry and I am looking to fill that up.
There's stuff in majority of the units. I'll say over half that we've got an interest in. We've got illicit tobacco, we've got counterfeit accessories, so yes, it's a result.
As the search continues, Tarek tries to find out who all this belongs to.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Mr. Tarek. I'm a Senior Trading Standards Officer from Ealing Council. I was given your details regarding some storage containers. Do you have anything to do with those containers? Didn't really get anywhere, so I'm on hold at the moment. Actually, I think I've been cut off, so yeah.
We find one handbag that's counterfeit, it's up to 10 years imprisonment or an unlimited fine, and we just found hundreds and thousands here, so you can just imagine people could get sent down for this.
So we've got about 600 here.
Fake goods like these are often poor quality, leaving consumers out of pocket.
I mean, just look at that. These ain't gonna last at all.
But that's not the only concern for Tarek. As the team work through the next container, they discover far riskier products.
So what we got, right, some stickers to go behind some counterfeit batteries.
There's the batteries.
There's the batteries, so there you go. So what they do is they've got cheap shoddy batteries and they'll stick on Samsung labels on there.
At the end of the day, with counterfeit batteries, you stick that in your phone, and when you're making a phone call and you're speaking to someone and you've got a really unsafe counterfeit battery, that explodes. That could kill.
Coming up, police close in on the men behind a series of shocking robberies across the northwest.
There is a real concern that if we don't interject, that there are going to be a number of further offences.
And raids teams in Kent discover a secret drugs factory and the men running it.
Stay where you are!
In Liverpool, a pair of brazen criminals are targeting coffee shops, bakeries and corner stores in a series of early morning robberies.
They enter the store, they go straight towards the staff, force them to open the safe through threat of violence. It must be an absolutely horrific incident for them, something they'll probably never forget.
Although the two masked men are committing crimes every few days, they're being careful not to leave many clues behind.
Forensic evidence is really challenging. Because they were wearing gloves, they weren't leaving any DNA behind. So we have to secure some real golden nuggets of evidence.
Detectives have identified a car, thought to have been used in one of the robberies, and are linking it to a man called Paul Boardman. But they need to formally connect him to the car and the crimes by catching him red-handed. So they put him under surveillance.
We don't have the required evidence to secure charges. For that reason, we embark upon a proactive investigation targeting Paul Boardman and the vehicle, the silver Ford Mondeo.
And it doesn't take long for their efforts to pay off. The surveillance team start to follow the car and watch as it parks up at a garage. CCTV captures the driver as he walks into the shop to pay for fuel. It's Boardman. And this time, he's not wearing a mask.
This gives us really good opportunity to secure CCTV footage that's clearly identifiable.
The footage directly links Boardman to the car, seen in the area around the time of one of the robberies. It's crucial evidence, but still not enough for officers to make an arrest. Now, they must watch and wait for the robbers to make their next move.
At this point, we have a couple of days of inactivity. There's concern that we may have missed our opportunity and they may not go on to commit further offences.
Yet Boardman and his accomplice soon reappear.
Paul Boardman and the second male drive to a number of locations throughout the northwest. They park up the Mondeo in small side streets near to coffee shops and bakeries, conducting hostile reconnaissance, looking at the layout of those properties. And that heightens the tensions within the investigation team, because then there is a real concern that if we don't interject, that there are going to be a number of further offences.
But detectives don't have to wait long for their next breakthrough.
During this period, both Paul Boardman and this unidentified male go into a small newsagent. This is a real breakthrough for us because they're not wearing face masks or gloves. It's our first opportunity to get real clear CCTV footage of Paul Boardman's accomplice, who subsequently is identified as Terence Hathaway.
Terence Hathaway is a career criminal with 25 convictions for more than 40 previous offences. Officers now have clear images of both of their suspects. The net is closing in. The surveillance team follow the pair as they leave the shop and head to their next location.
They drive to the South Liverpool area, cover their faces and put their gloves on. They are clearly seen to be stood in a bus stop that is opposite a bakery that is opening up. We clearly know that they're not intending to catch a bus. It's obvious they are scoping out that business. And it's only a matter of time before they then go that step further to go on to try and commit a robbery.
Police are on high alert, waiting for the pair to make their move. But the men get spooked.
One of the surveillance officers is able to pick up on some communications between Paul Boardman and Terence Hathaway, where they allude to the fact that it's probably too busy. So at that point, they then head back towards their vehicle.
However, the detectives soon have another chance to catch them red-handed. The next morning, the suspects are at it again.
They embark on a similar pattern, go into convenience stores, coffee shops and bakeries, clearly conducting hostile reconnaissance. There's a real tense feeling within the investigation room.
Then, at around 8:30 a.m, the surveillance team follow the men as they travel in the silver Ford Mondeo to the village of Woolton. They park up and make their way down the high street. Their faces covered with surgical masks.
We believe that a robbery is about to take place. We know that there are potentially going to be victims within that store that are going to go through a traumatic ordeal.
Just before 9 a.m, they enter a bakery.
They immediately start screaming and shouting and swearing at the staff. They make demands. They force them back into the rear.
But they're unable to open the safe and swiftly make off, leaving police little time to stop them.
It's a logistical nightmare. What we have is our surveillance officers wrapped around them, but what we don't have is our uniformed officers quite in place to make that strike.
The robbers jump back in their car and speed off, but police are close behind.
Both myself and the senior investigating officer try to remain calm. We have a really good idea of where they are both going to make to. We deploy uniformed officers to those locations to try and detain both individuals.
Stand by! Please!
In Kent, police have received a tip-off that a massive crop of cannabis is being secretly grown on an industrial estate. It's the most widely used illegal drug in the UK, worth a staggering £2 billion a year. And much of the cannabis that's used here is grown here too.
There's a significant amount of harm to the public. Ultimately, it's fueling other types of crime. If these individuals want to take part in this type of criminality, the police will use every method at their disposal to bring them to justice.
So we're going to be conducting a Section 23 Misuse of Drugs Act warrant.
A team of specialist officers are on their way to the estate. Their intel suggests the farm is hidden in one of the units here. And they've come prepared.
There's an extreme amount of danger to the officers that are going in there. We have no idea what's on the other side of the door. There could be booby traps laying in wait for police. The suspects themselves are dangerous offenders that we're dealing with. Sometimes they're quite desperate in getting away and will take desperate measures.
One team deploys to watch the exits, while the method of entry specialists get ready to force their way in.
Ready? Stop, pull it out. That's it.
Police! Hands like I said, put your hands behind your back! Hands behind your back! You're under arrest on suspicion of cultivating cannabis. Do not say anything but make armed defence. Do not mention when questions something which you later on call.
With two men now under arrest, officers sweep the building, looking for others.
It's a large building. There could be numerous people within that, and we have to think who else is in that building.
Upstairs, is there an upstairs? I've checked that room there, Serena's just come back.
Someone about clear the back of this black area.
How many of you are here? So just two of you? Two of you or three? Pretty sure. Pretty sure?
I think he's the one, yeah.
Davo, are you outnumbered? Do you need support?
An officer searching the warehouse discovers makeshift living quarters.
2 beds, 2 people.
It doesn't look like there's anyone else here. Now, they need to find the cannabis. But it's a risky business. Organised crime gangs have been known to take extreme measures to protect their product from police, as well as other criminals.
This is their livelihood, and it's extremely valuable, and they'll do everything they can to protect it.
A site like this could conceal any number of lethal booby traps.
These are extremely dangerous places. I've been into properties where there are weapons being laid around in wait for police officers. They may weaken the floorboards so that officers will fall through the floors. They may also set booby traps, for example, by the use of electric wires to shock anyone who's coming in.
But as they search the sprawling warehouse, it looks like they could be too late.
Just getting other officers to sweep again with a different set of eyes, and then I'll come back to you.
Then, finally, they find what they've been looking for.
No.
And the true scale of the operation is revealed.
It's one of the largest cannabis cultivations that I've seen in my career. There's rows upon rows, close to 1,000 cannabis plants.
Right, okay.
The size of the farm tells officers they're dealing with a major criminal organisation.
It's extremely complex in the way that it's set up, and there have been a lot of people behind it, reinforcing my belief that it's a serious and organised crime gang that's building this cultivation.
Mate, I've punched a hole in the membrane. It exits out onto a double red fire door that's lined with Celotex.
Police say the plants found in this farm have a street value of around £650,000.
Yeah, where are you?
Mate, I'm at the far end. It's 2 beds, 2 people detained. I'm just clearing these growing rooms at the back, but I think we've probably got everyone.
The 2 men arrested at the cannabis farm are brought to the police station for questioning.
Did you know what the plants were?
Det didn't change the payments. What do you mean?
The men say they've come to the UK from Albania looking for work.
Okay. Just to take a step back, because I want to understand things properly. What work were you doing in Ashford at first then?
It's up to police to determine the men's role in this criminal operation. Coming up, in West London, trading standards officers discover an enormous stash of unlicensed medicine.
12 tablets like this being stored and supplied from units is just not right. I mean, this beggars belief, really.
And police race to catch the robbers causing mayhem on Merseyside.
Stand back!
In West London, a raid has started to uncover a massive stash of counterfeit goods, hidden away in shipping containers.
Just look at that. They wouldn't do stuff like that. Just look at it, these ain't gonna last.
And the next container holds far riskier products.
So,
There's the batteries.
there's the batteries, so there you go. So what they do is they've got cheap shoddy batteries and they'll stick on Samsung labels on there. with counterfeit batteries. You stick that in your phone, that explodes. Your face is right next to it. Just imagine the serious damage that can cause.
An AirPod device in an AirPod case. Okay.
There's yet more evidence that the contents of these boxes are dodgy.
Here are some examples of Apple products that we've seized. I mean, the first indication is, I mean, they wouldn't supply stuff in like brown, you know, sort of battered boxes. They just wouldn't come like that. You look at the products themselves, they've got the trademark on there. So you've got the logo and you've got the word Apple. These are counterfeit goods. You can just tell from the quality of them. We've even got Samsung as well. The actual text is really blurred. That gives us an indication. I mean, you just would not get Samsung or Apple supplying stuff like this. It's a straightforward infringement.
Everything must be boxed up, carted off and loaded onto a truck.
Look out for any address labels or anything like that on any of the boxes. Just looking now, as the boxes are coming out, the containers, obviously there's evidence, right? Clearly they know what they're doing. They know the goods are counterfeit because they're taking their addresses off. Why would you want to take your importation address off? So you can see on every box there, the addresses are missing. They've been cut out and they've been taken off. But there's always some evidence left behind there.
Often people say it's a victimless crime, so what? But they need to look more into it. Counterfeit goods on this sort of scale is run by organised crime groups. There's more attached to supplying counterfeit goods than just saying, oh, well, it's a, fake handbag, so what?
And it's not just bogus designer goods and electronics in these containers. More concerning is the discovery of unlicensed medicine.
Well, we've seized about 12,000 erectile dysfunction tablets. These tablets, they're not normally sort of packaged like that. As far as we're concerned, they're unlicensed medicine. We've also seized some other tablets. I mean, this is just absolutely shocking. To have tablets like this being stored and supplied from units, it's just not right. I mean, these can kill, basically, if they're not properly licensed or tested to find out what's in them. It's beggars belief, really.
These medicines that we just found, they haven't been put through any tests. We don't know what's in them, so it gives us great cause for concern that these items are being supplied, and we have to put a stop to it.
Today's operation has uncovered fake or unsafe goods in more than half of the containers.
Organised crime groups are making vast amount of money. We've got to make sure that we're on top of this and smash this illicit trade.
In Liverpool, police have identified the robbers targeting shops across the city as career criminals Paul Boardman and Terence Hathaway. The pair have fled the scene of an attempted hit at a bakery, but officers are on their tail. They quickly make their way to Boardman's home address.
The surveillance officers sight Paul Boardman in a slightly different clothing, and he's now carrying a football, clearly in an attempt to throw the officers off the scent.
But the police are having none of it. Before Boardman can do anything, one of the officers jumps out of the car. With the taser trained on him, the robber is ordered to the ground.
It's a relief, absolutely, but at this point we know that the job is only 50% done because we've only got one of the two offenders and we've still got one outstanding.
A second team of officers make their way to the home of Boardman's accomplice, Terence Hathaway. And this time, it's the police wearing masks.
Entry gains, entry gains. Police!
He's probably shocked and surprised at being caught. Probably thought he'd got away with it.
Entry gains.
The men are taken to custody for questioning and face some damning evidence. Though the robbers had been careful to conceal their identities while committing their crimes, Boardman made one crucial mistake.
We have Paul Boardman captured on CCTV wearing a really distinct pair of trainers. And then we subsequently have his arrest on the 12th of December wearing those same trainers. I think we know that it's a real key piece of evidence and one that's going to be difficult to try and explain.
Paul Boardman has no answer and pleads guilty to these crimes. He's sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. Terence Hathaway also pleads guilty, and he gets 10.5 years.
I think with the guilty pleas and the sentencing, there's a real sense of justice there for those individuals and victims that had had to go through some really traumatic and difficult incidents, and probably ones that they'll never forget.
Number!
It's what you do the job for, is to try and not only hold those people to account, but also to prevent further offences from taking place.
Stay where you are!
In Kent, where 2 men were arrested after being discovered running a huge cannabis farm hidden in an industrial estate. They were questioned by police and later charged with conspiracy to cultivate cannabis.
But you knew that it was illegal when you agreed to do it?
We had a lot of damning evidence against them, and there was ultimately nowhere else for them to go.
Both men pleaded guilty and were each sentenced to 3 years in prison.
A great deal of satisfaction. These criminal gangs think they're untouchable, but what they don't take account of is that the police will find them and they will bring them to justice, and ultimately they will go to prison.
In West London, the raid on shipping containers is coming to an end. No one has come forward to claim the seized goods, but whoever they are, they're out of pocket.
It's been a long day, but we've taken £2.5 million worth of counterfeit goods from the market, so yes, I'm very happy.
Everything is taken away to a secret location.
Basically, we've bag tagged, sealed everything. Majority of the stuff's going to be locked away in a secure store.
The fate of these fake products is sealed. Whatever can be recycled is salvaged. The rest is destroyed.
I have a clear message to the organised crime groups and the counterfeiters who supply counterfeit goods. We'll get you. You can hide in a secret location, but we'll find you, we'll seize your goods, and we'll prosecute you, and we'll take your assets off you.
And Police Elite Raid Squad continues next Monday at 9. With a minute-by-minute account of one extraordinary week in 2010, Ash Cloud, the week the world stopped, is brand new Wednesday at 9. And a plume of hot air brings a heatwave to Barnsley next. But that's not good news for everyone, as we find out in Casualty 24/7.